Hi, I'm Dave from Hardy Scale Models, and this is the second part of my video build for the Airfix English Electric Canberra B.2 bomber in 1:48 scale. It's been quite an interesting build, this one. I've enjoyed doing it, but I did have some issues with the paint where it went slightly wrong, but you'll see this. I've left it in the video. I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to show where I've made errors and things like that. I think it's sort of, for anybody sort of new to scale modelling it, just to give them advice, really. For those who've done it before, you'll probably made the same mistakes I have. So yeah, I've left the errors in. There's one with the paint, and then at the end you'll see there's a bit of silvering on some of the decals, but you'll see that. Overall, I actually like this. It's an old kit. I think it's early 2000s maybe. It's nice to build. It takes a lot of weight in the front of the aircraft. I had to put in, the instructions call for 100 grams. I couldn't get 100 grams in it, so I've got about 90. So it's just sitting on its nose wheel, but that's with the aid of a little bit of blue tack. You do get a stand with the kit. That comes with the kit, which you can drill a hole for and prop it up over the back of the aircraft and pull it up. So I've got that there for later on. The only sort of real issue I had with this is the panel lines on this, so they're way over the top, they're far too deep. Made sort of doing the panel lines easier, but it is a bit excessive. But overall, it's a very enjoyable kit to build. There's a few versions of it out there. There was 3 versions in this box that you could do, and I think there's another couple of versions of the kit around as well. So yeah, here we go. So second part, this is basically all the painting, the decaling, and the final touches and assembly. And I've got some shots of the aircraft at the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming back if you've returned to the channel. If you haven't and it's your first time, feel free to subscribe. I do video builds every now and then, and I'm really enjoying doing it. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you soon. Thanks now, bye. So we start off this part of the video with the wheels and the undercarriage. So I'm just using my circular compass cutter just to make some masking for the wheels, so I can get those painted up. Fairly straightforward to do. It's the 18mm thick Tamiya tape that I'm using, a very cheap circular cutter that you can get online pretty much anywhere, sort of a generic one. I'm just using that to make a little mask for the centre of the wheel before I get those painted up. I haven't got the most steady of hands at the best of times, so yeah, I do use masking wherever I can. And then I moved on to the rest of the sort of smaller parts that were going to be needed for the final assembly. Got those all primed up there. That's just Tamiya extra fine spray primer out of the can, and got the undercarriage sort of wheel struts and undercarriage bay doors covered and painted. Painted those by hand. I used Tamiya paints for all of this, and then noticed that I had a bit of an issue here. So what's happened there is the disc for the engine has fallen inside the plane, so I had to sort of dig it out without taking everything apart and glue it back into place. That was a bit of a faff. And once I got that done, I moved on to some pre-shading. So Tamiya flat black, watered right down, or thinned right down, I should say, to about 70%, and turn the pressure on the airbrush right down to about 7 or 8 psi on this, and then just get really close and just highlight the panel lines that you want to sort of make stand out a bit more when you paint them. So got all this done, and this is when I had the first issue with paint. So once I got this done, and this is the repair I'm talking about with the disc on the engine, the fan, the rotating fan, sort of shaking it back into place. If in doubt, give it a shake. So yeah, the paint, basically once I got it all painted, I did it late one night, and it was an older tin of Tamiya paint, and got it done, left it, came back the next day and looked a bit odd, picked it up, and basically the plane was covered in grey dust. So the paint I'd sprayed had just turned to dust almost on top of the model. So had to sand it all back and pre-shade everything again and then repaint it. So it was a bit of a faff and took a bit of time. So yeah, it added a couple of days onto the build, but it is what it is, and it can happen. I've asked around. There's a good community out there online asking for help and stuff like that. Various suggestions that maybe I was spraying too far away from the model and the paint was almost drying before it was hitting the model, which kind of makes sense, but I wasn't really doing anything different to what I did last time. So what I personally think it might have been is just it was an older tin of paint and maybe it had gone off. I don't know if paint goes off, but this is the paint going down, as you can see. So yeah, I didn't think I was that far away. I'm normally about 10-15 centimeters away. Paint went down lovely, like I say, but then next morning found it and it literally turned to dust. So here, just spraying over the pre-shading just to get the desired effect. Again, with modelling, it's entirely up to you. If you're not showing your models in a competition, it's entirely down to your personal preference, how you appreciate, how stark you make it, how vivid. I've gone for quite vivid again because, I don't know, just it's the child in me. I've only just learned how to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to go big or go home, basically. So yeah, I've done that. A lot more vivid than some people do, but it's for me, it's for display in my house, so I'm happy with that. And that's the joy. One of the joys of modelling is that you can just do it to your own personal preference. There's no pressure, or there shouldn't be, from anyone to conform, if you like. Airbrushing wise, this is again Tamiya paint, thinned out 50-50 with Modelling Products thinner, and the airbrush is on about 20 psi here. So what I did here, very sparingly used some Tamiya tape, as you can see, really careful of how much I was using, to mask off the grey areas that I just painted before I moved on to doing the black. So I haven't just sprayed it black. All the tips I've been giving, don't just spray it flat black. So what I'm actually using here is Tamiya rubber black and areas of Tamiya sky blue, I believe it's called, XF. It is XF17 sky, but sea blue. Sorry, it's almost black. It's very, very dark blue. Starting to sound like Father Ted there, but there you go. And just mix it around so it's not a monotone flat black. It's a variation of colours, because obviously the aircraft wouldn't just be jet black. It would be a variation of colours. So like I say, I got it all masked off, don't want to damage the grey paint, and just started working my way around the model. Put a base coat down of the rubber black, and then started adding little bits to it with the sky blue, and I also used tire black as well. And then once I was happy with it, that's when I decided to like sort of highlight some of the pan lines underneath with flat black. But I also used the colours again, but with dabs of white, just for variations on some panels and a bit of post shading. Took a bit of time, but it sort of got the desired effect in the end. And as you can see, again, the paint here is thin 50-50 with Ultimate Modelling Products thinner. Tamiya XF, I think that's flat black I put in the tail actually, and again 20 psi, getting close to the model. I didn't have any more issues with paint turning to dust, so I think I'm fairly confident it was just a dodgy bottle of paint. So the paint itself took a bit of time, took a couple of days to do this, once I'd corrected the original grey colour, which had come off. And then this is where we got to. So the plane is now matte black underneath, and as you can see, it's got a bit of a sheen because I've now put a layer of aqua gloss on it, and that is all ready for some decaling. And then COVID hit. So the whole family got it. The son came home from school, tested positive. I then tested positive. Everybody else was fine. I was in bed for 4 or 5 days. So a little bit of an enforced break. Wasn't very well with it, but there you go, feel fine now. So once we got back into it, it was to get on with the decaling. So the aqua gloss layer had gone down, and then it was time to put these decals on. Now, these two serial numbers on the underside are absolutely massive, and I was concerned straight away that it was going to be hard to conceal any silvering under here, which is obviously where you can see the film. So I've trimmed away as much as I can, put down using micro set and then micro sol to make it sink in about 10 minutes after I've used the micro set. Really worked on it, pushing it into the pan lines, putting an extra set on to make it stick, using cotton buds to try and squeeze it into position, make sure it was in the pan lines. And as you'll see, I still got a bit of silvering under this, so it doesn't look perfect, but again, it's for me, it's for my display in the house, so it's not the end of the world. It happens. You learn from it. But yeah, I've had to think about how I would do this in the future. I've had another decal of that size, but there you go. So you'll see in a moment I didn't quite get rid of all the silver, and it's mainly gone. But then when I put the flat coat on at the end, you'll see another issue that came up. And again, I've left all this in so that you can see it. I'm not going to hide this. So just working around the decal once I've got it down, being quite careful because obviously I've got the micro set on it. Making sure with using the cocktail stick to get it down into all of the panel lines. And what I use as well is just a cocktail stick. Now, not pointing straight down on it, obviously, because you'll tear the decal. So what I do is I almost flat along the panel line. I'll just draw it along very gently and just help it down into the panel line, so that it looks more natural, looks more painted on, and once it all dries in. And yeah, just spent a bit of time doing this. This decal did take a long time to get the stick down. So you can see where I'm using the cocktail stick, just holding it really flat, not using it as a pointed edge, and it's just to help that decal sink down and adhere to the model in the correct shape. So once I got these two main ones done, what I tend to do is put the large decals on first, because then they almost act as your point of reference as well for the small ones. So once I got these two on, I started working my way around the model. I'm not going to show you all of it. You don't want to sit and watch 20 minutes of somebody putting stickers on a plastic model. So yeah, just work my way around. And as you can see, this one at the moment is looking quite good. It's not got much silver in. And then we moved on to the sides and putting the rest on. You see the tail plane there. I've got the insignia on, the RF ensign. Still don't know why some kits you get the RF ensign, or the roundel, sorry, all in one. But in this kit, all of them, the large ones and the small ones, were the blue and the white, and then you had to put the red dot on. I'm not entirely sure why they do that, but there you go. It's not the end of the world. So get all those on, and again, just using a cotton bud and micro set just to get it all stuck in a position adherent to the model. And then using micro sol after about 10 minutes just to paint onto the decal, and that'll soften it right down and draw it down into the model itself. Okay, so off camera, what I've done is I've put on a coat of Tamiya flat clear, just to seal in all the decals, and obviously to give the aircraft its overall matte effect. It wouldn't be gloss. And just removing the canopy covers that I put on at the start. Now, as you can see here, the matte coat's gone on, sorry, and it's quite patchy, and it's leaving an unwanted effect, and I'll be honest, I don't know what it is. If anybody's got any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment and just let me know if you know what it is. But it's left almost like a tide mark. You can see on some of the decals there, like the two brown decals, and down the side of them there's that white tide mark effect. You can see it to the left of that W on the serial number as well. I've got no idea where it's doing it. I'm not letting not letting it pool. I'm not letting it run off. I'm not letting it dry too quickly. Or maybe it is. Maybe it needs some retarder. I don't know. But yeah, it's just Tamiya flat clear, mixed 50-50 with thinner, and sprayed on as normal. And on the black, it looks awful. But it is what it is. I've managed to clear up some of it by painting over the tide marks with the same colour, matching the base colour again on the bottom of the aircraft, and painted over the top. So I got rid of the worst of it. It's not the end of the world. And now it's just sort of final touching up here now. So done a bit of weathering, done a few panel lines. You can see I was putting the weathering into the wheel wells with some Tamiya black accent line colour. And here just painting the jet exhausts, and now adding on the clear nose canopy, which is one solid piece. So just using micro crystal clear, which is PVA glue, and just stick that on, because that will set absolutely clear, as the name suggests. Obviously you don't want any sort of clouding on the glass parts of the aircraft. And then it's just stick straight on the front. It's got like a bomber's window on the front, and then there's a small pitot tube to add on as well. So into the final stages of assembly now here. So adding on the wing lights, the red and green wing lights on each side, again using the PVA glue. I've painted those separately off camera with Tamiya clear green and clear red. I just left to dry overnight. And then once we got those on, it was onto the undercarriage and just putting all the wheels together. I built them about a week and a half ago. They've just been sat there waiting for the aircraft to be finished. So started putting the undercarriage together, getting the front wheel together here, just using Tamiya extra thin cement. Made sure it was dry. Get the sort of mud guards on, or whatever they're called on an aircraft. I think they're called mud guards, but there you go. And just making sure everything's stuck together, ready to go. And then it was a case of just getting the smaller parts ready to add to the aircraft. So what I've got here is just a little bit of Ultimate Modelling Products pigment, and this is their dirt colour. So I'm just messing up the wheels a little bit. I've already put a little bit of accent colour in the wheels to add a bit of oil effect. Use the AUMP pigment to add on some dirt around the edges of the tyres. And now I'm using the Tamiya Weathering Master sets, which there's a few of. This is Master Set D, and I'm using some of the oil stain to rub onto the underside of the wing flaps to make them look dirty, oily, used. And then when it comes to putting in the carriage, and the main spars that you can see there, the two main wheels went in very well. They're actually very rigid, so they're set with some Zappa Gap super glue. I always use super glue for the undercarriages, A, because obviously it's set quicker, and B, if it does break, it'll break off. It won't snap off. It'll break off at the seam. Front wheel's done there, went on no problems, and the undercarriage went together really, really well. So once I got the support arm in, just drop in a little bit of extra thin cement, and again using the Zappa Gap on the undercarriage doors. Again, these went on really easily. They fitted really well. I did dry fit all of this first, just because there's what you can't see in between the left hand wheel there and the number 5. There's a very small door that goes on the outside of the wheel, and I didn't want to make it more difficult for myself, so I dry fit everything first just to make sure it fits. And then moving on to the rocket pods that are going to go under the wings. I've got them all painted up, and this is just a little bit of dry brushing on the actual nasty end of the rocket pod, just to highlight the lines and make it stand out a bit more. Obviously the rocket patterns on the pod, and that's just Tamiya flat aluminium that I'm using for this dry brushing on. Okay, so this is the sort of final part of the assembly now. So actually super gluing on the rocket pods, which are underneath the decal. So you need to cut out the holes in the wings before you make them, obviously, and then once you've put the decal on, and I'll let it dry, I'll then cut the hole out of the decal just to avoid any excess ripping or anything like that. And then just a little bit of Zappa Gap again, super glue on the bottom of the rocket pod just to hold it in place, and it sticks straight on and sets in seconds. So far easier than trying to mess around with the tiny cement, which could have just started to eat the decal or destroy the decal, and I obviously didn't want to do that. And then sort of the final part of the assembly, apart from a couple of small pitot tubes, was the flap arrangement on the underside of the wing. So there's 4 flaps, they're all on now, and that was the final part of the build. So now that the build's finished, we can look at some of the photographs of the finished model itself. Just want to say thank you to everybody who's watched the build, everybody who's subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Looking to hit 300 subscribers, woohoo, as soon as I can. But thanks for stopping by, and I'll be starting a new video build very soon. Thanks for looking, thanks for watching, and thanks for your support. Cheers now, bye.